Welcome to Hawkstack Technologies. Today in this video, we will show you how to create and manage partition on a Linux machine, which have some disks. So how I can list those disks? I will execute lsblk command. It will list all the available disks on my Linux server. So here you can see that I have already SDA disk. In that disk, there are some of the partition is already being done. There is SDB disk. There is no partition here. It is size of 10 GB. So today I will show you how to create that partition on SDB. So first, today I will use a parted command to create the partition on dev SDB. Here I will execute mkpart. Before executing mkpart, it is better to use the change the unit that I will change to MIB. Now this is a brand new disk. If I will try to print, it will generate me some error. It will say that we are not able to recognize the partition table. So partition table can be your MBR or GPT. So here we are going to apply the partition table with the command of mk label. Then I will define GPT or MS-DOS. So MS-DOS is equivalent to MBR. Here I will apply MS-DOS. Now again, if I will print, there will be no error. Now they are able to recognize that the partition table that you want to apply on the disk is your MS-DOS. So now further I can move on the partitions. So here to create the first partition, I will execute mkpart. It will ask for primary or extended. This is the first partition. I can go for primary or extended, anything. But here I will select primary. So here it is asking for the file system. So the default one is ext2. So here if you are mentioned the file system, that doesn't mean that it is going to be format that particular partition. It is just for labeling. So here I will use XFS. Then I have to define start point. So start point will be from 2048S. Now the end. What size you want? Suppose I want 1 GB of partition here. What I will do, I will define the size in MIB. So I will apply 1025 MIB. I will enter. Now if I will print here, you will be able to see that there is a one partition has been created. Here start point is 1 MIB, end is 1025 MIB, and the total size is 1024 MIB. That means it is equivalent to 1 GB. So once it is done, I will quit from that particular prompt and will execute udev adm settle command. Now I can verify that partition has been created or not by executing lsblk command. Here you will be able to see that from that particular disk, one partition has been created, that is of 1 G. To creating the partition is enough, but how I will use it, how I will store the files in folders there. For this, I will first format that particular partition with a particular file system. So as I already mentioned here, I will go for XFS. To format that partition with the XFS file system, we will execute mkfs.xfs. Then the partition path. So it is now SDB1. I will enter here. If we want to verify whether that file system has been formatted or not, we have one command that is called blkid. With blkid, and we will define the particular SDB1. Now we will see that the type it is formatted with is XFS. Once it is done, we have to define a mount point from where I can access that partition. To create that mount point, I will create a new directory and define that part1. Now I will map this particular directory with my partition. To do so, I will execute mount dev sdb1 then part1. Now if I will execute df-th and part1, Here we can see that this particular partition that is formatted with XFS, the size is 960 M, used is 39 M, available is 922 M, 5% uses, and it is mounted here. So if I will execute lsfnl part 1, here we don't have any files. We can create the files, blank files we can create here with the touch command, and I will mention that I want to create 5 files here. So here again, if I will execute part 1, you will be able to see that 5 file has been created. If I will unmount it, part 1, you will not be able to see the files now because we unmapped that directory with the partition. So if you want to mount it again, then only you will be able to see those files that we have created before. Here you can see that part 1. So again, you can see that I am able to access this. But when I will reboot this particular server, all the mount that I have manually mounted, it will be removed automatically. So to make it permanent, I will edit a particular file, that is etcfs. Here I will add an entry related to this particular partition. So the partition is dev_sdb1. I can use its unique ID, or directly I can use the path, but best way is use the unique ID. To find out the unique ID, I will execute blk id command. Then I will apply that partition path. This is the unique ID. I will use it. So here I will copy that. Then I will edit etcfs tab. I will paste it here. I will define where it should be mounted. After reboot part 1, with which file system it is formatted with. Do we want any mount options? And do you want to any backup? No. 0 means we don't need any file system backup. Or I don't want to check when my server will restart. I don't want to check the file system. The last 0 is for that. We'll save it. Now we will execute systemctl daemon reload. And once it is done, we can execute mount-n. So it will remount all the entries that we have defined in etcfs tab. So today we learn how to create the partition, how to format that partition with a particular file system, and how to make a permanent entry for that partition in a etcfs tab. That's all for the day. Tomorrow we will come up with new videos. Thank you.